Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please remain standing for the procession of the colors, followed by the Star-Spangled Banner and the invocation by Father Randy McIntosh.
Let us pray. O Lord, I ask on behalf of those gathered here that you would indeed bless each of these graduates. Give them the grace to make difference for the good wherever they may find themselves in the years ahead. For those who pursue further education, grant not only the knowledge that they need in their chosen fields, but also wisdom to apply that knowledge to life as it really is. For those who will be going directly into the workforce, give a sense of right and good and appropriate in often confusing issues that they will face. For those going on into the military service, may they draw courage and strength from you. May they serve our country and all of humanity with integrity and honor. For all the graduates and their families, of which they are part, we ask that they make a significant contribution to the welfare of society. May they be especially a blessing for those whose lives they personally touch. And now, may you be pleased with what we do here today. All this I ask in the name above all names, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please be seated. I'd like to call forward Cadet Captain Richard Reynolds, the battalion adjutant, for the parade of flags.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 127th Corps is made up of cadets from 20 states and 5 foreign countries. It gives me great pleasure to present our procession of flags, consisting of cadets carrying their own country or state flag. Seniors from the different states will be represented by a cadet of their choosing. From Canada, Cadet Chen Shi Yu. From the People's Republic of China, Cadet Qi Yu Li. From Mexico, Cadet Luis Garcia Quintanar, carried by Cadet Taylor Conway. From Nigeria, Cadet Akinlumi Rickers. From Switzerland, Cadet Gian Pelosi, carried by Cadet Robert Ondi Lee. From Eagle River, Alaska, Cadet Carlos Rodriguez. From Scottsdale, Arizona, Cadet Daniel Bright. From Farmington, Arkansas, Cadet Brendan Swain, carried by Jacob Younger. From Walnut Creek, California, Cadet William Johnson. From Brookfield, Colorado, Cadet Tyler Adams. From Gulf Breeze, Florida, Cadet Eric Herb. From Asheville, Illinois, Cadet James Usher. From Bettendorf, Iowa, Cadet Larry Spivey Colbert. From Great Bend, Kansas, Cadet Ryan Bowers. From North Shores, Michigan, Cadet Jackson Brown. From Woodbury, Minnesota, Cadet Dawson Odegaard. From Kansas City, Missouri, Cadet Richard Reynolds, carried by Brandon Burridge. From Broken, Nebraska, Cadet Jacob Gangler, carried by Cadet Cameron O'Jones. From Las Vegas, Nevada, Cadet Jackson Ford. From Delhi, New York, Cadet Alexander Neroni. From Jacksonville, North Carolina, Cadet Olumide Osunkoya. From Fargo, Oklahoma, Cadet Antonio Miranda. From Richmond, Texas, Cadet Brian Gauthier. From Seattle, Washington, Cadet Aiden Murray. From Jackson, Wyoming, Cadet Keith Pierce. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the procession of flags. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And again, I welcome you all to St. John's this morning on this blessed occasion as we celebrate the graduation of 20 wonderful young men. As I sat there talking with them this morning before we headed over, it struck me that in sitting in this group of young men, we have at least one boy that 4 years ago sat across from my desk and told me, "Sir, I can't do this." You did it. And we have a young man that drifted away from us for a year. But his brotherhood brought him home. I'm so very proud of these kids, and I thought I could do this, but it gets a little harder every year. I think I've said to many of you, I remember a lot of these guys I'm not that old. But again, it's a real pleasure that you're here with us today to celebrate this. I appreciate your flexibility as we deal with springtime in Kansas. We are still going to work hard to get through this ceremony and have a full pass and review so that we can send these boys off in the proper way. So let's keep our fingers crossed and Father Randy, get to work. There's a couple of groups that I want to recognize. I recognize every year at commencement. They're an extremely special group of people. Would all staff and faculty of St. John's please stand and be recognized? What a wonderful group of folks. They push me every single day. Most days I appreciate it, some days I resent it, but most days I appreciate it. I'd also recognize we're very, very fortunate at St. John's to have an extremely dedicated Board of Trustees. This is a collection of businessmen from around the country, from Salina, some old boys, some parents of former old boys, that meet with me 5 times a year and share their wisdom and guidance, and have really worked hard to chart a very bright future for St. John's Military School. Would all members of our Board of Trustees please rise and be recognized? At the head of our Board of Trustees is an absolutely wonderful man. Larry Brigham's connection to St. John's goes back a century. In 1911, Larry's great-grandfather, built the St. Barnabas Hospital, which was one of the very first structures built up here on the grounds of St. John's. And the columns from St. Barnabas still remain with us today. They are part of the Guernsey Lloyd Memorial that's just on the other side of Clem Ferris from us. But Larry spent some time here in the late 60s. He is a St. John's old boy. And since he started his professional life in I think he came on the board the first time in the 80s, about the mid-80s, and we never let him off. He's been on the board since. But he is a source of outstanding mentorship and guidance to me. His unique business experience and his experience as an old boy at St. John's I lean on him weekly, daily, and decisions made. Ladies and gentlemen, will you help me in welcoming Larry Brigham?
Thanks, President England. I appreciate the invitation. And it was 48 years ago that I was an 8th grader sitting in one of these groups out here. And little did I ever think that I'd be up here speaking. I could hardly wait to get out of school. And so it's funny how your life takes you down different paths. And as they say, once I reconnected with the school, I never looked back. That's it. Next to my family, there's really nothing I love more than St. John's Military School. And it means everything to me. The opportunities it gave me, plus the opportunities it gave all of you, whether you realize that today or not. There are a couple things I want to say that I think are important. First and foremost, Andy recognized the staff, and obviously the way you feel about them today is exactly the same way I felt about the staff when I was going here. And I can tell you, when Dale, Al, and others were going here, they felt the same way about the staff. There is such a unique connection between the staff, teachers, faculty at St. John's Military Schools and the students that I think is unparalleled anywhere else in the country. It really is unique, and I think it's because of the dedicated staff that obviously have opportunities to go anywhere and work, but choose to commit their lives to work at this institution for one simple reason: the kids, and helping make their lives better and helping give them more opportunities in their lives. But I also want to thank President England and his wife, Katie. When we hired Andy to be the president, Andy was a graduate of BMI, came back to Salina, met a Salina girl, was in business here, and when we lost our president, Andy said to several of us, I might be interested in that job. And I can tell you today, we could not have made a better decision than the hiring of Andy England as president of this school. Even better than that, we got Katie to come with him. So much about St. John's is about tradition. I was reading a document I have from 50 years ago this summer that Colonel Kling wrote. I was reading that a couple nights ago. And it was talking about the issues of enrollment at St. John's Military School. And if I close my eyes, all of a sudden I was in 2015, if I would have put Andy England's name on the memo, the issues in the 50s and 60s were not unlike they are today. There's never a time when you say we have it all figured out and we have all the pieces in place. But I think there's a parallel between what we do in trying to perpetuate this school for the long term and what you go through as a student. You find ways to make it work. You find conclusions to problems that nobody else thought you could solve. And I think that's what the board and what the faculty and staff constantly do each year, because each year there are new challenges. Another group I want to just recognize that have been here this weekend is the Old Boys. And there is a large contingent that came back this weekend because Dale and Al put together an alumni event and really reached out to a lot of alumni. In some cases, had not been back here since they went to school. So whether you realize it or not, you wake up someday and you're not sitting on the front row, you're sitting in the bleachers on the side. And we all end up there eventually. And the thing we can't do is forget about those alumni and what difference they made in this school. Not necessarily why they were here, but what they've done since they left here. So I'd like to have all the old boys that are back stand up and let's give them a round of applause. And one final thing, this school continues to thrive. It would not be open today without the generous hearts of so many people. Obviously, the Veneer family, whose roots go back in the 30s and 40s, and whose constant love of this school have literally kept it open over the years. There are many others who have helped, and a lot of them are here today. And I don't think Jack and Don are here today. They were here for Dale's dinner the other night. But they're such gracious people, Jack and his brother in the school here. And honestly, for us to continue to keep the school going, we need people to reach out and continue to support us financially. We need old boys who go off in their lives and make a career on their own to not forget about this school. We are not publicly funded. All of our dollars are raised privately and through tuition. And so our biggest push right now is to create scholarship dollars. So no matter what the economy is doing, we can continue to offer scholarships to families who cannot afford to send your young men here. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that today. Continue to think about St. John's in your planning. Continue to think about St. John's after you're gone. But don't forget about us. Come back whether you give anything or not, because everybody here would like to see you. Again, thank you for the opportunity to say a few words. Congratulations to the parents and all the family members on the tough decision you made in sending your children to St. John's. My parents made the same decision, and I know it was not easy for them, but it was the best decision they ever made in my life, and for that I'm appreciative. Thank you, and have a great weekend.
commencement speaker was recommended to me, I made a trip over to Manhattan to meet him for lunch and was blown away by this man's enthusiasm for life, his enthusiasm for education, his enthusiasm. The questions he asked of me, what he wanted to know about was about you guys and what we do here at St. John's. And I was just, again, absolutely blown away, and was so glad to have had him recommended to us. I'm going to give you a brief rundown of his bio, because as I read his bio and tried to add things, include things, I genuinely started to feel bad about myself. I half consider my life wasted now. Thanks to you guys, I have a purpose. Our speaker is Dr. Ron Truen. Dr. Truen began his professional career, as many young men did in the late 60s, as a member of the United States Army Infantry. He graduated from the Army NCO School as a staff sergeant and served in Vietnam with the 199th Light Infantry Brigade until he was wounded in action. Following his service, he pursued his education and obtained bachelor's degrees in accounting, business, marine biology, and also managed to squeeze in a minor in chemistry. He obtained his PhD in microbial physiology from Oregon State University in 1974 and began a career dedicated to research and education that eventually brought him, thankfully, to Kansas State University. From 1994 until present, he has served as a professor of biology at Kansas State. In addition, he has served as the Associate Vice Provost for Research and President of the Kansas State University Research Foundation. Also as Vice Provost for Research and the Dean of the Graduate School, and Vice President and General Vice President for Research. He is currently the Assistant to the President of Kansas State University and a liaison in the National Bio and Agro Defense Facility, which is currently under construction in Manhattan, Kansas. Dr. Truen truly embodies a dedication to education, a dedication to young men, and a patriotism that just blew me away. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in giving a warm St. John's welcome to Dr. Ron Truen.
Wasn't expecting that. I will have to correct a few things along the way. I really didn't get degrees in all of those areas. I started and stopped in a lot of different areas, which led to this really meandering path that I took. Also want to make clear, I truly do qualify as an old guy, not an old boy. I don't deserve that sort of ranking, but this is my first trip over here, and I'm really, really pleased to be here. Very impressed with what the purpose is here, what's going on here. And because of my short stint as a draftee in the Army, my topic today, military lessons, lessons for life, because I really do think those lessons really served me well. Didn't necessarily put me on a straight path all the time, but I think an important path. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background, a little bit about my military experience in Vietnam, some lessons that I think are appropriate that one can get from service, but also I think some understanding of military lessons that you've probably already learned here. So start out with graduates. At the age you were when you came to St. John's, I was probably performing in school not too differently than you were. I wasn't a motivated student. My two older sisters were A students, and I got tired of hearing teachers say, "Why aren't you as smart as your sisters?" I've always learned, you're never as smart as any woman, so don't ever pretend that you are. So let's make that clear right to start. Basically, I was a C student and satisfied with a C most of the time. And since going to college was never an expectation in my family, it wasn't deemed relevant on a 102-acre dairy farm in Wisconsin, that wasn't in my plans either.
Not that I recall anything else being in my plans after high school. I was just sort of there, kind of aimless. However, having gotten an A in an accounting class my senior year, and that was without studying at all, I opted to try a 2-year business school in Illinois where I got an accounting diploma, not a bachelor's degree, about a year and a half later. That allowed me to get a job in Milwaukee, Wisconsin as a bookkeeper, which is when I discovered, for me, not necessarily for everyone, how deadly boring accounting turned out. Basically, if I wasn't learning something new as I was in school, learning all the various things, it just didn't keep me motivated and going. So with this newly found passion for learning something daily, and perhaps more importantly, with a military draft about to come knocking on my door, I decided to give college a shot. My plan was to stick with business, but focus more on management and sales. However, that changed when I had an absolutely horrible business course and a great botany course, and the next thing I knew, I was a biology major, chemistry minor. Then, studying ocean life in one of my second-year classes, I thought marine biology might be my calling, and clearly Whitewater, Wisconsin wasn't the place for that. So I transferred to the University of Hawaii, where there was no out-of-state tuition at the time, and started out as an honor student. Then kind of reverted to my old ways the second year. And this one, guys, you're going to have to take my word for it, because I don't think you've experienced this here at St. John's. Girls in bikinis in class are distracting and it makes it tough to study. Didn't experience that here, right? No. Anyhow, taking a semester off to get my head on straight, which is what I did, wasn't the smartest move I ever made. But looking back, maybe it actually was. However, I didn't think so when my draft notice arrived 2 days before Christmas in 1967. I was 24 at the time, 4 or 5 years older than most draftees at that point in time. And with 3.5 years of college, I could have gone to officer candidate school, but that would have added a year to my time in service, 3 years rather than 2. However, going to the NCO school didn't, so that was my choice. Still don't know quite how I managed to be one of 86s out of the class of about 178 that made it through, but I did. Spent a little time pushing troops through one round of advanced infantry training, and then went to Vietnam. Interestingly, though, the day we graduated, within minutes of graduating, we were told that based on the current statistics in Vietnam, 4 of 5 of us would either be wounded or killed in Vietnam. That actually probably turned out to be about right, many more wounded than killed, but it does turn out that over 25% of the enlisted men in the Army in Vietnam, over 25% of the names on the walls are NCOs, okay? There was a follow me motto at the leadership school, which has served me well in life, but that motto with follow me, people up front often are the ones that don't make it, and there was a lot of that in Vietnam. I arrived in Vietnam on the 7th of January 1969, 9 days shy of my 1-year anniversary of reporting for duty. Some of the E6s over here are not happy to hear that I made E6 in 10 months, I'm sure. But with that 4 of 5, it was, there were costs. A couple weeks later, I was in the field as a squad leader in an infantry company. However, I became the platoon leader, doing the job of lieutenant on Groundhog Day, February 2nd, when we were in an all-day battle with what was originally thought to be a squad of Viet Cong, but turned out to be a battalion of North Vietnamese regulars. That was not a good day for our company. The remainder of my time in Vietnam I spent was roughly half and half as platoon leader or platoon sergeant, depending on the casualties at the time. And there was one 5-day stretch when I was the highest ranking NCO in the company, so acting first sergeant. Still, I only made it until April 18th, when a major, a first-timer in the field after 7 months in country, tripped the booby trap behind me. Probably one of our dud rounds, mortar rounds, and I still have a piece of shrapnel in my left lung from that. That was one of 3 pieces of shrapnel that got me that day. 4 others were hit as well. But what are the most relevant military lessons of life that I learned in Vietnam and getting wounded. There were really many, but I'm going to highlight just two today for you. Number one, I saw the absolute best one could ever see in their fellow human beings. Young men close to your ages, 19 and 20 years old, putting their lives on the line to protect the guy next to them. Their buddy, but probably somebody they didn't know a month or two before that. But it didn't matter. They would put their life at risk to protect their buddy. The buddy would do the same thing. It was absolutely amazing seeing that on a day-to-day basis, because it didn't matter what the race, what the background, it was your brother next to you that you protected. The selflessness is amazing to see in combat. It's something that's hard to describe, but it sort of showed me how the world should work. Unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily always work that way. The other highly applicable life lesson I learned in Vietnam, though, was what a difference attitude can make, positive versus negative. In the 2nd platoon, nicknamed the No Sweat Platoon, where I spent most of my time, we were a little nuts, probably a whole lot nuts in some cases, but we always believed we could do whatever we were asked to do, no sweat. 3rd platoon, however, always believed they were going to get their butts kicked, and they always did. They went through officers and NCOs, please pardon the expression, like that S word for fecal matter goes through a goose. It was unreal. Twice, when they had no officers, no NCOs, I had to serve as their platoon leader. But no matter what I tried, I couldn't turn around this gloom and doom attitude of theirs. The second time, it was 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, before they got a replacement officer and a couple of NCOs. Thankfully, I went back to my no-sweat colleagues as their platoon sergeant. However, about 2 weeks later, those 3 replacements were among 3rd Platoon's numerous casualties one day, so I was sent back for a second try. The next day is when the major tripped the booby trap behind me, I guess making me some more of that S word passing through the goose, as it turns out. Before Vietnam, I probably believed that a positive attitude could make a difference in some situations. There's no way I believed it could make a difference in combat, with bullets flying and everything going on, but it made a huge difference. I witnessed that up close and personally, almost daily. So my take-home positive message for today is attitude can be a difference maker for everyone, including you. It will be if you think positive. Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Try to remember that and always try to think you can. Most times you'll be able to do whatever it is if you believe it. The No Sweat Platoon proved it to me almost daily. Similarly, each day will be a good day or a bad day, depending mainly on what you make it. Not other people, what you make it. And yes, I learned that from the No Sweat approach of the 2nd Platoon as well. Hopefully, every one of you graduating recognized that coming to St. John's didn't change your capabilities. You were as capable before coming here as you are now. It's your motivation and your discipline that changed, so keep yourself motivated and maintain that discipline. You don't need this support system going forward, but I'm sure if you ever do need a little pep talk, the faculty staff here would be up to it, so reach out to them. There's no question in my mind that without actually being in the military, you've learned life-changing military lessons at 18 years of age, plus or minus, that I didn't learn until I was 24, 25. You've gained military values and lessons that you can take with you throughout your lives. They will serve you well. Your future is up to you, no one else. Dig deep, and you'll succeed at whatever it is you choose to do. But do something you enjoy. I can't emphasize that enough. And when it stops being fun, go do something else. Part of the reason for my meandering path through my life. I've been reasonably successful over my career, and I have zero regrets about the bizarre, ever-changing path I followed. Everything I learned along the way, good and bad, proved to be beneficial. The accounting aspect has been hugely beneficial, as was the failed effort in marine biology in Hawaii. And no, guys, the benefits wasn't just the girls in bikinis hanging out in class, literally. That failed effort allowed me to learn the critical military lessons and values in Vietnam that have served me well with "Follow Me" and "No Sweat" as paradigms to live by. And got me these staff sergeant stripes, of which I'm hugely proud, along with the combat infantry badge on my lapel. And I can proudly say that I've never done a job better than I did my job in Vietnam. Being proud of your job performance is a big deal too, guys, whatever the job. Finally, though, remembering a piece of advice from the old Oklahoma Native American cowboy and humorist Will Rogers, who once said, "Never miss a good chance to shut up." I will. This is your day, and my best wishes to each of you in your future endeavors. You can succeed at whatever based on the military lessons you've learned. No sweat. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Truman. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Debbie Nelson.
When I'm less than I could be, when I just can't face the day, when darkness falls around me, and I just can't find my way, when my eyes don't clearly see, when I stumble and I fall, you I lean upon, you keep me strong, and you rise me when I fall. You are there when I must be you. You are there so constantly. You come shining through, you always do. You are always there for me. When life brings me to my knees, when my back's against
Thank you, Debbie. Wonderful, wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we will make a special presentation. Would Major Stelvis and Command Sergeant Major Shin Yang Du please come forward? It is a distinct pleasure to make the presentation of the Dwight Woodall Air Force Sabre to the cadets selected to be the Command Sergeant Major for the 128th Corps of Cadets. This sabre and a $500 endowed scholarship was presented to St. John's Military School on behalf of the Woodall family and in honor of the memory of Master Sergeant Dwight Woodall, United States Air Force retired, who served as a military advisor at St. John's for a period of 17 years and is fondly remembered by generations of cadets for his personal example and wise counsel. He was a survivor of the Bataan Death March and had a distinguished career in the Air Force. A family member of the Woodall family could not be with us today. Making the presentation on their behalf is the Commandant of Cadets at St. John's, Major George Stelvis. He will present the sword to Cadet Alexander Weber, who upon receipt of this unique symbol of his office, assumes the duty as Command Sergeant Major of the 128th Corps of Cadets. Will Cadet Colonel Gianluca Filosi and Cadet Captain Jake Williams front and center. Parents with cameras are welcome to come forward for this promotion and change of command photo opportunity. Having reviewed and examined the capabilities of a number of qualified cadets, and after much deliberation, it has been determined that the best qualified cadet to serve as commander of the 128th Corps of Cadets at St. John's Military School during the 2015 and 16 school year is Cadet Captain Jake Lewis Whitting from Glen Head, New York. Attention to orders. Cadets, attention to orders. In compliance with paragraph A, St. John's Military School Special Order number 1-15, Cadet Captain Jake Lewis Whitting is promoted to the rank of Major. Cadets may be seated. Would Cadet Alexander Weber please come forward? Cadet Sergeant Major Alexander Weber will remove the organizational colors and present them to the outgoing commander. Cadet Colonel Gianluca Filosi then passes the colors to the Commandant, Major George Stelvis. This indicates that Colonel Filosi's tour of command has been completed. Paragraph B, St. John's Special Order 1-15. Cadet Major Jake Lewis Whitting is designated Commander of the 128th Corps of Cadets by order of Major George Stelvis, Commandant of Cadets, St. John's Military School. Major Stelvis now passes the colors to the new commander. By receiving the unit colors, Cadet Major Jake Lewis Whitting assumes command of the 128th Corps of Cadets. He now passes the colors to the Cadet Sergeant Major Alex Weber, who returns them to their place of honor. This procedure allowed the organizational colors to be placed over the heart of both the outgoing and incoming commanders. With the official transfer of command completed, Cadet Gianluca Pelosi also transfers the heavy weight and responsibilities of command to the shoulders of Cadet Major Jake Lewis Whitting. The Hardy Saber is named for Colonel Aaron Young Hardy, who first joined the St. John's staff in 1951 as a professor of military science. He quickly became much more than what his title implied, and he was invaluable as a recruiter, counselor, rifle team coach, and beloved mentor of young men. Colonel Hardy was a Mormon and was a grandson of the famed Mormon leader Brigham Young. He passed away unexpectedly just before Christmas in 1961. And in 1963, 2 distinctive memorials were made to him. One of these is a very elaborate ceremonial saber in the name of Colonel Hardy, presented to the school by Cadet George S. Bartley, Jr., a member of the class of 1963. The award was designated the Hardy Saber and is to be worn by the Cadet Battalion Commander at ceremonial functions. Today, we will continue the practice of passing on the saber as formal command of the Corps has changed. At this time, please observe as Major Stelgis and Cadet Gianluca Pelosi pass the Hardy Saber to the newly appointed Battalion Commander, Cadet Major Jake Lewis Whitting. Cadet Colonel Gianluca Pelosi will now deliver his farewell address to the Corps of Cadets.
Good morning. All right, I'm gonna keep it short. I remember May 11th of 2011 when I was standing at the Brown Parade Field, anxiously waiting to go home. I couldn't wait. I was scared, and I just saw Battalion Commander Lau scream, "Corps dismissed forever." I ran as fast as I could to my mom, gave her a hug. Then I went to the car and I fell asleep. Suddenly I woke up. This is where I am. I'm standing here with all you guys, about to leave. St. John's is all about second chances. St. John's will always give you a second chance, even the third one, fourth one. If you need a fifth one, they will provide it for you. Never give up. Keep on going. Be strong. Keep your heads up high. If you're a senior, be proud of where you graduated from St. John's Military School, the best boarding school in the nation. I'll be back next year for commencement, so don't disappoint me. Make me proud. And thank you for everything. Thank you for letting me lead you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Gian. And for the record, your chance total was 80. What an amazing young man. When I mentioned this last night at the President's recognition ceremony, when they become what we saw them being so many years ago, it's so rewarding. And Gian, in my opinion, has been one of the most hardworking and diligent battalion commanders that I've had the pleasure of working with. And I'm so proud of what you. At this time, it is time for the handle ceremony. With the old boys and this year's graduating seniors, please form a semblance of a circle here in front of the podium. And I'd like to call forward Mr. Tom Wilson, St. John's class of 1962.
Front door of Old Vale Hall is a symbol of tradition at St. John's. Prior to the 1978 fire, which destroyed Vale Hall, every cadet who passed through this academy and attended St. John's held that handle. And since that time, all graduating cadets have done so. Salvaged from the ruins of the fire by old boy Jack Lanier, the handle became a part of the ceremony, the commencement ceremony in 1981, in which the cadets of the graduating class passed the handle from one to another to continue that tradition. But that's only part of the tradition. Old boys attending graduation also participated in the ceremony. As they pass the Old Vale handle, their ties to their alma mater are renewed and reaffirmed. As the handle makes its rounds, we hope that each and every one of you will reflect for a moment on your own time at St. John's, your good experiences here, the friends you've made in this good place, and the friends who you, even today, and especially those friends who we honored earlier at the final roll call. For it falls to you to honor this tradition. Most importantly, to honor those thousands of cadets who have gone before you, whose memories were of a Vale Hall that has passed, which they have also. Vale was a Gothic structure full of secret passages, the mysteries of young manhood, a place, in short, larger than reality, suited for the memories of us still living and those who have gone on. We will this morning, in the presence of these cadets and staff and faculty of today's St. John's, reaffirm our love for that wonderful old place and those dear old friends. Consider who you were when you were a St. John's new boy, how you grew and matured under the guidance of the St. John's faculty and administration, and the role that they have played and will play in what you have since become. Finally, meditate for a moment as you pass the handle, how these young men you see before you today will in future years return to St. John's on this occasion to carry on this traditional passing of the handle. In 1991, I was privileged to pass the handle to my son. At this time, Dale Browning, representing the class of 1955, will take the handle from Battalion Commander Jim Pelosi and present the handle to Al Ransom, old boy, class of 56, to begin the passing ceremony.
God be with you till we meet again. By His counsels guide and hold you. We
visiting alumni and singing our alma mater.
Good morning. It is my distinct honor to announce the senior class of 2015 salutatorian and valedictorian. The salutatorian is Wai-Fan Shu. And the valedictorian is Wai-Shu Lee. For those of you who don't know, the salutatorian and valedictorian again this year were twins, and his brother has gone to help pick up his mother. So if he'd just put glasses on, which his brother wears, we wouldn't have known the difference anyway. I would also like to mention that's the second year in a row that we have had twin brothers as valedictorian and salutatorian, and one of the other brothers, the Harmon brothers, is here. And now this highly anticipated moment has arrived. Parents, grandparents, family members, friends, staff, faculty, administrators, board members, alumni, and other distinguished guests, and the 127th Corps Cadets. The members of the St. John's Military School Class of 2015 have satisfied graduation requirements of St. John's Military School and the Kansas State Department of Education. As academic dean, I report to you this class is prepared to be graduated, and with your approval, Mrs. Megan Hayden, St. John's Military School Associate Dean, will call the roll. Seniors, please rise.
Michael Barron. Shin-Yang Du. Gian Pelosi. Duncan Farrell. Luis Luis Garcia Quintanar. Jack Glasgow. Calvin Guardiola. Daniel Hurdle. Weston Houchins. Shangling Wang. Ishu Lee. Murtha. Lester Ostertag. Richard Reynolds. Chase Rose. Nicholas Sheldon. Brandon Swain. Kaylin Taus. Bryce Whiteman. Yifan Shu.
Let's hear it for all our seniors. Well, I'd like to thank you again for joining us here today. At the conclusion of the benediction, what I'd like to have happen is, looking out the windows, I think I'm willing to give it a shot, DC. What do you think? At the conclusion of the benediction, I'd like for the BC to take command of 4 and move them to the parade field for Passion Review. If you would all now please stand. Father Randy, there's the benediction.
Go and know that the Lord is with you. Let him lead you each day to a quiet place where he will speak to you. Know that He blesses and watches over you, that He listens to you in a gentle, understanding way, that He is with you always, wherever you are and however you feel. Know that He is your right-hand man to uphold you in all things. Amen.